Hello everyone, it's Olga Zar from SEO Sly. This is the SEO podcast by SEO Sly. Today I have a very special guest. This is Nikki. Nikki, how are you doing?
I'm really good, thanks. Yeah, going well. Busy week, but I'm excited to be here and chatting with you today.
Yeah, me too. I've been meaning to invite you for a long time, but I always have so many things going on, but I finally did it, so I'm happy we are recording this. Okay, Nikki, so can you tell me what you do right now and how you get started, when you get started? I want to know your SEO story in much detail.
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm working basically two jobs. So I
Oh,
work as a SEO freelancer, doing all of the freelance stuff. So audits, I've got clients that I work with on retainers, as well as obviously, a lot of ad hoc work. But I also work as at an agency alongside this as a tech SEO specialist. So I'm balancing the two. I work for Journey Further.
uh-huh.
They're aware of my freelance work and very happy for me to continue doing that, which obviously is great. So I balance the two. So I wake up in the morning and I do SEO, and when I go to sleep at night, I'm also doing SEO.
Yeah.
Sometimes dreaming about spreadsheets, which is very boring and very annoying at the same time.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
having the same thing. Yeah, I exactly
oh
the
really?
same. And also for a long time I was doing both, having a job at the agency and doing freelancing. But I finally had to choose. I was unable to continue this way.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's definitely past that point of making that decision, but it's always a tough decision, isn't it, when you got to make the leap.
Yeah,
It's
totally,
scary.
totally, totally. And in my case, it didn't change the amount of work I do. I would say I even work more now. So, but that's okay.
I can believe it. I always see you doing more and more, even with your YouTube and this podcast and everything else. I'm like, does
Yeah,
Olga ever stop? I don't think you do.
yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm trying to kind of cool down a little bit, but it's hard. Okay, Nikki,
Hmm.
but this show is about you. Tell me when you get started and how you get started. What brought you to SEO?
I got started about 7 or 8 years ago, and I fell into it, which I feel like is the case with most of us who work into SEO. I don't know anybody that actually, you know, woke up one day and decided SEO is what I
Yeah.
want to do. I'm sure there are, I just haven't met them. So when I left university, I worked for a music company. So was working within the music industry, and I was doing marketing for them and the musicians that they work with. So that was very much getting their artists into online magazines and getting them into podcasts, on podcasts and playlists on the likes of Spotify and all those other types of streaming stores. And because I was doing the marketing, when the CEO decided we need a new website, he just came to me and said, Nikki, you can do that. And I'm like, I don't know the first thing about websites, but yes, I can do that. That won't be a problem. It was a
Cool.
WordPress website, so I did the best I could, building it from there, just playing around with lots of things. I built a local staging version of the website on my very large iMac screen, which posed problems later on when we were using smaller screens and things didn't look the same, but didn't know that at the time. But yeah, so I broke a lot of things, I learned a lot of things, and it went from there, really. It's after building that website, figuring out what the problems were when it eventually went live, and then we needed it to rank. Of course, we needed to bring in more business, so I needed to figure out how to do that. So I did. I started learning through people online, on Twitter, following people, reading blogs, and because I felt like I learned so much building this company website, I created my own website, which is just nikkihalliwell.com. It's still there now. It looks a
Yeah.
lot better now than it did back in the day. But that's what I started, and I was just messing around with things. It wasn't even an SEO website at the time. But yeah, and it's through experimenting on that website with what people had told me or what I'd read online that I was able to figure things out for myself and then start to implement them. And then I would do it on the company website. which went very well. But when I left that company, it was a case of, well, what do I want to do now? And I wasn't really sure. I knew that I liked SEO, but I didn't even know that that was like a career option. I thought it'd be a similar sort of thing, working in-house. I didn't know that agencies existed at that point. And then I found an agency in Manchester, and that was the first one I worked for. And I've worked with agencies ever since, really, and grown and learned from there.
Yeah, it's probably agencies are the best place to learn like hands-on SEO. So, in how many agencies have you worked?
1, 2, 3, 4, about five,
Oh,
5 or
nice.
6, give or take. One,
Yeah.
yeah, about 5 or 6. Yeah.
And can you share some of the things you liked there, some of the things you learned from your SEO agency kind of part of your career?
Basically what you said. So it's definitely being hands-on. You get thrown into the deep end a lot, and it was through my first agency where I was learning everything, because everything that I'd learned on the company website when I worked in music, it was okay, but it wasn't what we would do now as SEOs.
Probably.
So that was like my first experience of properly learning SEO and what all the various tools were as well, because I didn't know half of the tools. I was just making it up as I went along. So yeah, definitely getting to know all the tools, and that's when I got more into tech SEO, when I saw that site speed was a thing and that site speed mattered and all of that fun stuff. But I like that it's always something different in agency side as well, because you're working with lots of different clients on a daily basis. It's very similar to freelance. So you're working with lots of different people, lots of different industries, and they all have different challenges.
Yeah,
And that's
totally.
exciting to me, just getting to see what works for one client in one industry and how different rules even sometimes apply for other industries. There's certain things that you can and cannot say on some websites, even though that's their target keyword. That is the one thing that they do, but they can't actually mention that keyword on their
Yeah.
website, which I've come across before in regulated industries. So it's just figuring out different pieces of the puzzle and how to challenge each thing differently, and that's what I like about SEO, really, and the agency life just fits into that really well.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And regarding university, what did you study? So you had no like technical background.
At university, I did music technology.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
was about like recording in like music studios, and that's what I thought I wanted to do. That's what I did at college, and that's what I went on to do at university. So lots of
Oh,
messing around with microphones like we're doing on this podcast here, but recording people, yeah, in studios. And
yeah.
that's what I wanted to do, or what I thought I wanted to do was be a music producer. And I had these visions of working with all these famous artists in these big studios. So it was like tech in that respect, but definitely not computer based.
Sure. So I need to ask, do you have a podcast or are you planning on creating one?
I did. So
Oh,
over lockdown, it wasn't SEO, but it was over lockdown. So me and my wife have another website that's talking about like LGBT
uh-huh.
issues, and we're also really into like true crime as well as like queer history. So we blended the two, and that's what we did over lockdown. Was we would talk about LGBT history
Oh,
one
I
week, and
missed
then the
that.
next thing, I think it might still be on Spotify.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, we talk about LGBT history one week, and then the next we talk about like true crime, but it would be
Mm-hmm.
something that was like against the LGBT community or committed by the LGBT community. It was really interesting,
Uh-huh.
but then after lockdown, it just became too much to continue doing it. And now we just continue it with the website, which probably needs a little bit of love because it's been a minute, but yeah, that
Uh-huh.
was what I did. I haven't really thought about doing an SEO one, but I don't know. Maybe in the future we'll see.
Uh-huh. And does your wife do SEO as well?
No, she's a copywriter, so
Oh,
it's
that's a nice blend. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We work quite well together. She's not interested in SEO. I've tried.
Uh-huh.
She goes as far as her copywriting and her keywords, but it's too technical for her. She just
Uh-huh.
rather stick to what she does best, and it works for us.
Yeah.
Especially on the freelance side, I'm able to pass work to her, and she does the same to me. So it's like you
Yeah.
say, it's very complementary.
Yeah, cool. And so regarding your freelancing, so what exactly is it that you are now offering? And in addition to your company website, I think you have a website about audits only as well, if I remember correctly, right? So do
I
you
do.
also have like other websites, like affiliate websites or stuff like that?
Yeah, I've lost count,
Oh,
and probably like any SEO, I've
oh,
owned far too many domain names, and some of them just sit there, and I wonder what to do with them. And it's like one day I'll do that website, and it just sits there.
yeah,
But
totally.
I know it's a problem, isn't it? I think we need, like, instead of like Gamblers Anonymous, we need like Domain Names
Yeah.
Anonymous, where it's when it becomes a problem and we're just addicted to buying them. So yeah, I've got my consultancy website, which is just nikkihallywell.com. So that's for like my retained clients and lots of like ad hoc stuff that might come in. So I offer, as I say, consultancy, do audits through that one as well. Like migration work, you name it, it comes through that. But yeah, I do have a audit specific website, which is techseoaudits.com. And that's like my newest one, really. So that specializes in audits. We've got various different packages that I offer on that one, depending on the size of the website that you have. But what I really tried to do with that website was tailor it a lot more to the companies and the individuals that were asking
Uh-huh.
for audits. Because the problem that I find is people would just make an audit and deliver it in whatever format worked for the SEO, but then that doesn't really work for the client.
Yeah.
So what I'm able to allow people to do through that is literally, as part of the checkout process, is choose what works. So when you know what sort of audit you want, whether it's like a basic one or you want an in-depth one, you can choose if you just want it in a spreadsheet format, because that does work for a lot of people. But if you're delivering it to higher stakeholders or need to be able to present this to other people, you might need it
Yeah.
in a presentation format. So you can choose that, or if you want it in a Word document as well, you can choose that. So you get to customize exactly what works for you. Obviously, that has an impact on the price, but you know exactly what you're going to get then, and you can customize it a lot more. And that's what I do
Yeah.
with all of the audits on there. That includes backlink audits. There's also keyword research, and all of that fun stuff, as well as a couple of more products that are coming soon to it. But yeah, I found that it really works well, and it instills a lot of confidence in people that are
Yeah.
looking for audits. They know what they're getting.
Yeah, that's a very good idea to kind of offer different formats, because I usually at first I was offering audits in the form of Google Sheets. Then I
Yeah,
kind of started to offer as Google Doc with lots of explanations.
yeah,
But then I came to realize that some clients wanted this over that, and I started to offering like two simultaneously. But what you're saying about the presentation, that's also like an important formats. And can you tell me which ones do you sell the most? Which ones are the most popular? Which ones you prefer the most?
I prefer the spreadsheets the most. So like if you choose one of the others, you get the spreadsheet as well. You just get
Uh-huh.
it in the additional format, so you can
Okay.
share that as needed. I prefer the spreadsheets because that's personally how my brain works, and I like the way that it's set out, and it's, it does look good. It's understandable
Yeah.
for people at all sorts of levels in the business and experience anyway. I mean, I was presenting an audit yesterday to like a high street brand, and they just had the spreadsheet version, and they loved it, and they didn't have any problem with understanding it. But it just depends on what they're then going to do with it. Obviously, if they're presenting it to other people, then they might need it in the other format. But the Word document is the second most popular, because people are able to read it and really get down into the details and understand it fully.
Uh-huh.
I find that the presentation format is only really used when they need to present it to like leaders in the business who just need the highlights, and they
Uh-huh.
don't need to actually see, yeah, the specific details. They can have the details, but when it's being presented in a meeting, it's a lot easier for them to get the information they need from a presentation. But I mean, that's why I did it, because I was getting the same thing as you, and it was like, do I do it in this format or this format? Or then I put all this time into the Word document, and then I could see that people are not actually reading it. So it's like, well, why did I
Yeah.
put all that time and effort into it? Whereas with creating this website, people are able to choose what works for
Yeah.
them, and I know what's expected of me. They know what they're gonna get in, and it's
Yeah.
just more transparency, which is what I'm trying to do with a lot of the work. And yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, cool.
hopefully.
And how do you promote this website? Do you just SEO it? Is there a blog to this website? I don't remember.
Yeah, there's a blog. My wife helps out with that content. Interestingly enough,
Ah,
we do it together. So yeah, there's a blog. I do socials and chat on things like this. But
uh-huh.
also I've started. I'm still a little bit embarrassed about it. But I've started like a TikTok
Oh,
talking about SEO, and it's a lot more basic on TikTok, which is interesting. So a lot of the things that do well is literally what is keyword research, why do I need backlinks, and why do backlinks matter. So it's a lot of the more basic stuff that does well on there. But then I'm able to syndicate that content out onto Instagram and also little bits on YouTube, just as like YouTube Shorts. I'll probably extend that into longer form videos at some point, but yeah, it just feels awkward a little bit doing it on videos. And it's something that I'm still getting used to. I've only been doing that for just over a month, but it does do well.
uh-huh.
It's just like a slower progress on those, like a slower burn. But it's fun. It's fun to do. So we'll see.
So you have your own YouTube channel.
Hmm.
Okay. So I have to add it to notes, to podcast notes. Okay. That's interesting. And can you tell me more about the Excel spreadsheet? Like, do you like put all the data into one spreadsheet in different tabs, or do you refer to like other files? I'm just curious about like how exactly your audits look, if you can, of course, share.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So yeah, it's all in the one document within various tabs. So I have like a summary at the start. That's one tab with like the top level metrics that people like to see. The next one is basically the list of checks that I've gone through as part of the audit. That has lots of detail on that. The next one is, everyone calls it something different. You might call it an issue log or findings or whatever. Personally, I call mine a RAG matrix, because not only is it an issue log, but then I use that to like prioritize each of the orders. And I've got various different methodologies that I use for determining which is the top priority items. Then I have the roadmap, which is laid out based on the client. It's not just red items go first. I mix
Uh-huh.
it up, and that's different for each one and everything else. And
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, after that, you've got all the tabs of the various issues. And again, that just came on the back of dealing with clients. It's frustrating for us and for them to have to be like, right, I'm working on this, where do I find these URLs? You've told me that there's an issue with canonicals, you've told me that there's an issue with page titles, where do I find them? And then I've got to go back to my call and export them, or find my spreadsheets and
Yeah.
send them across. Whereas if you do it all at the same time, number one, that's automated as part of my audit, so I just upload the URLs that I find, and then it automatically counts them, and then obviously I talk about them in the audit. But also, yeah, it means that the client knows that everything's there and ready for them to deal with, and then when we come to work on them, it saves time for me as well, because I've got the data there from the time, and then I can just work through each audit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's how I tend to do it. I mean, it's always changing. It gets
Yeah.
updated a lot with obviously latest developments in the industry and things that clients ask for as well.
Yeah, sure. And can you estimate how many audits you have performed so far, more or less?
I don't even know where to start.
Oh.
Hundreds. I've not been asked that question before. Yeah, hundreds, if not more.
Yeah.
I've definitely lost count. Yeah. Do you know how many
Yeah.
you've done?
I've lost count too, but I think probably now more than 200. But yeah, I stopped counting at some point, and I will
Yeah.
never know probably now.
No, I don't think I want to know, because then it would be like, okay, how many hours has that taken me? How many hours have I spent? How many days basically have I spent just
Yeah.
doing SEO audits? And yeah, I don't think I want to know that.
Yeah, totally. And regarding hours, how many hours on average? Of course, it depends. Do you spend doing an audit?
I told myself that I wasn't going to say it depends on this podcast, but I've just done it.
You have to.
I know. Yeah. For like a smaller website with like a basic audit, probably like a couple of days, and then up to like a more advanced audit, it can be don't know, like 4-ish
Weeks?
days all in all. Yeah, um, weeks, months, years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Years?
yeah, yeah. It can be about a week for a larger audit.
Mm-hmm. And do you also do EEAT audits or traffic drop assessments?
Yeah, so that's included in my main audit. But yeah, if you want
Uh-huh.
more of like a deep dive into it, then yeah, I can definitely do those separately. Don't really get many people looking at EEAT, but yeah, definitely like the traffic drop, especially on the back of migrations. That's
Yeah.
a common one. It's like we did this without SEO help and our traffic has dropped and we don't know
Yeah, what
why.
happened? Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. And can you recall some of the like weirdest mistakes, issues you have seen in last, I don't know, 100 audits you did?
Some of the weirdest. I mean, the typical is always, with the website going live no indexed, and it's like we don't know why we're not ranking, and it's like, well, I do. I can see that nice and easily. That's a pretty common one though. Weirdest. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
like a lot of like hreflang issues and
Mm-hmm.
things just not set up correctly at all with that. Cookie banners are also actually causing more issues at the minute, and also just
Uh-huh.
like there was one recently where there was like
Oh,
meta
tell me.
refresh. There was like meta
Uh-huh.
refreshes that were involved, and it came on the back of a weird deployment that happened at the same time as the deployment of the new cookie banner. So the
Oh.
URLs were changing between UK and US, and they couldn't figure out why, and they thought it was a JavaScript redirect, but when you properly looked into it, it was just this weird meta refresh
Oh,
that they were coming up to. And
interesting.
yeah, I'd never seen that before, and hopefully I won't see it again, because that was a weird one, and it was quite annoying. But yeah, we
Uh-huh.
got there in the end. But yeah, there's all sorts that come up. There's no two audits the same, is there? There's
Yeah.
always something weird about other one, and you're like, oh, this audit won't take me long, and then you find something, and then you go down a rabbit hole, and hours later you're still looking at the same issue.
Yeah, totally, totally. Okay, and what are your favorites SEO audit tools? The ones without which you couldn't perform an audit?
Tools, well, Screaming Frog is the go-to. That's like my old faithful. Spend a lot of time with that one. I also really like Sightbulb. I like
Uh-huh.
the level of detail that they go into. And OnCrawl is one that we started using recently at Jenny Further, and that's gone really well for us. Just with obviously it being a larger, with it being a cloud crawler for the larger websites, that
Mm-hmm.
makes it a lot easier for them. Obviously, Google Analytics and Search Console and all those typical sort of tools. Site speed, I like GT Metrics for that. That's
Uh-huh.
that's like one of my go-tos. Obviously, we use like Page Speed Insights as well as Web Page Test, various Chrome extensions that I
Yeah.
use, and
So do you think speed is important?
as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, yes. And
Uh-huh.
what I mean is you're not doing it just to get a green tick or to get a perfect 100 out of 100 score. If you're doing it for that, then no. But if you're doing it to actually benefit your users and you know that it's a problem and you're going to help them convert, then yes.
Yeah, perfect
And
answer.
I don't think that's going to change either. I mean, a lot of people were talking about that, weren't they, with like the mobile friendly test
Yeah.
and other ranking signals being removed. They're like, site speed doesn't matter anymore. It's like, no, it's always going to matter. And
Yeah.
in my opinion, that's why they're removing it. It's because of a lot of people are just chasing it to say on Twitter, I've got 100 out of 100 on mobile. My website's perfect, but
Yeah.
it's actually not
Is
if you
it?
try and load it up. Yeah. And I think that's a good thing. There's tools like Debug Bear as well, which we also use, so you can see like the site speed performance over time and how that's changed and what's actually impacting them. I think that's a really really good tool for doing that actually. But yeah, if you're doing it for the right reasons, then yes, site speed's always going to be important. You know,
Okay.
Sorry, I was just going to say
Yeah, yeah.
if your website loads slower than your competitors, I mean, who are you more likely to buy from at the end of the day?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great point. And one more question about audits. Every auditor approaches audits a bit differently. Can you walk me through your process, like from start to beginning? Like, how do you get started? Is it like, what do you do? Like, you have a site, someone bought the audit, and how do you get started?
I start by having a play around. I just use the website, get an understanding of what the main landing pages are and what the focus of the business is. Are they, I don't know, selling weddings? Is it a wedding venue, or is it an e-commerce store selling shoes? You know, obviously everyone's different, but I think I try and put myself as best I can in the shoes of a user and be like, right, I want to book a wedding. So how do I go through that process and think about what questions I might want answered and go through that? And then, you know, is it a contact form to convert on that, or am I trying to buy a new pair of trainers, and am I able to filter down to find a blue pair of my favorite brand in my size? And are they gendered men or and women, or, you know, how does that affect the URLs? And I follow that as far as possible through down to conversion without actually spending money, unless I actually want to. Sometimes, you know, I get like a code from them, so I'm able to actually follow through the full checkout process. Then I crawl the site. I'll set it up in whatever crawler I'm using and have a look at analytics as well, and then slowly start to bring it all together into the spreadsheet and build it out from there if we need to. But the number one thing is actually using the website like a user, because that's what matters most at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. I remember at the very beginnings of my SEO career at the agency, one of the first audits I did, I remember that I wasn't like really going through the website. I was just simply going through a checklist and the crawler without actually interacting with the site. And now I think it is like fundamental. The first thing you should do is to actually like look at the site from the perspective of a real user.
Yes.
Because we as auditors, we can often just browse the site for 30 seconds and we'll find some SEO issues already. You probably know that feeling.
Yes, 100%. It happens all the time. Even just like simple things, isn't it? Like the convert button. I mean, like I had it a simple, relatively simple one recently, whereas when I looked at the website on mobile, which is the important distinction as well. Don't just look at it on our devices. We need to have a look and see how it performs on mobile. But I had it recently when you added stuff to cart and went to check out, and this was on like a health and beauty sort of website. So you added it to the cart, you're all good, and then when you went to press the checkout button, no, it wasn't. It was the pay button. So it's right at the end of the conversion process. The chatbot was right in the way, so you couldn't actually get to the pay button because of the chatbot. And even when you close the chatbot down, it was still there in the corner of the screen, like in some capacity. So you couldn't get to it. I mean, the only way eventually was to like rotate my phone, and then I could just about get to it. But it was just like, this is, yeah, exactly. And it was like, this is ridiculous. That's why you're performing so poorly on mobile. But then on desktop, that wasn't an issue, and I'd have never spotted that had I not tried to do that on mobile as well. And the business wasn't even aware of it. Obviously, the customers were, because that's why they were struggling, and they were probably shopping with competitors after not being able to get past that. But yeah, the business had no idea. But thankfully, we were able to fix that quite quickly.
Yeah, that's a nice catch, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so you also have a technical SEO newsletter, right?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
Tell
that
me
just
more.
started. Yeah, it started just on the back of tweeting basically, and I would do like I call it Tech SEO Tuesdays. So I tweet one particular tip on a Tuesday, and from that was doing quite well on Twitter, and then I started to roll it out onto LinkedIn, and then it did even better, and people were just engaging with like the little snippets of advice that I put out. So then I was like, well, how can I do this into something a little bit more detailed, which I've kept finding that people were asking for. So then, I just created Tech SEO Tips, which is, as I say, it's the extension of the tweets. So I'll talk about a particular issue of the week. Sometimes it's the same one that I've tweeted, or it might be a weird issue that I've come across, like the chatbot on mobile, or just some news, like big changes in the industry, like generative AI and things like that. I'll talk about them in like a small paragraph, and then towards the the bottom-ish, I'll include articles like popular ones from the week. I know I've had a couple of yours in there as well
Yeah,
as
thanks.
others in the industry. No, your articles are great. I always love it when I come across one of yours in my
Thank
Twitter
you.
feed or anywhere else. But yeah, that goes in the newsletter, and then that goes out once a week.
Uh-huh. And can you share how many subscribers you are? You have. Wait.
What was it, about 500 or 600? It's not huge, but it's going well, and there's
Yeah.
engaged visitors. It's certainly not huge, but we're going slowly but surely.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I guess technical SEO is like your favorite part of SEO, right?
Yeah.
And do you also do like JavaScript SEO, JavaScript audits?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Can you share something about this? Is there something like some interesting case you had with JavaScript websites?
Yeah, I mean, like a common one that I come across is just, and I've seen this on lots of different websites, but it's to do with like JavaScript buttons and links hidden behind those buttons, and that are only accessible with JavaScript, and that happens a lot with products, but more often with blogs actually. So
Mm-hmm.
the search engine often struggles to find blogs beyond page one. Struggles to find articles beyond page one. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if they're linked to internally and they're included in the XML sitemap, they can, still be discovered that way. But that's not always the case. So, Google
Uh-huh.
is only able to see the content that's on the first page of the blog and can't see anything on page 2 and beyond. And that's because Google cannot and will not click on buttons. So if the link to that page 2, or if that load more button doesn't actually contain a href link, then it's got nothing to follow, and it can't discover those other pieces of content.
Yeah.
So that's one I come across a lot. We started that recently at Journey Further with a client who's in like the finance industry. So they've got a lot of important information on there about, money saving and mortgages and how to protect yourself from fraud and all of that stuff. And
Uh-huh.
a lot of it was just getting hidden, unfortunately, or wasn't doing as well as what it should have been. And we were able to implement more typical pagination onto that, and we immediately saw the results on the back of it, and it works quite well. I mean, JavaScript definitely has its place. I like JavaScript. I'm certainly not against it, but it's just making sure that you're using it in the right way and not using it, on buttons like that. I mean, we all love shiny features and things that make our websites look good, and they're great, but just make sure that you're setting up your links correctly.
Yeah, totally. And do you work remotely?
Yeah, a bit of both. So the agency, they do have an office, but they're very much flexible in all respects. That they don't even work 9 to 5. If you need to be flexible for whatever reasons, you can be. I do go into the office, but not as often as I should. But that's partly because I've got you can't see because of the way my camera's set up, but I've got about 4 screens set up here. So obviously I can't do that in an office. So I'm able to have all the screens and have my all singing, all dancing little setup here. But it is like I do like going in the office, and obviously socializing with people and just bouncing ideas off is always good. But yeah, most of the time I'm here.
Yeah, and do you also attend conferences, SEO conferences, or have you spoken anywhere? I haven't seen you on Brighton SEO, or I missed you.
No, you haven't seen me. Yes, I do attend as much as possible. Brighton SEO, Women in Tech SEO as well is brilliant. I'm part of that community, and I've attended the last 3 conferences that they've done as well. Have I spoken? No. I'm warming up to it. It's anxiety is not fun. But so that's something that I'm battling with. But yeah, I've starting to get a few pitches out there, and hopefully you'll see me on a stage near you soon.
Yeah, I think I also have this issue. So you can say you are suffering from imposter syndrome as well?
100%. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It looks like I interviewed a lot of women, and so far I can say that most of them said the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a common thing just for women in most industries,
Yeah.
but especially in industries like ours that are more tech. You know, it's even though there's plenty of us out there. I mean, you only have to have a look at women in tech SEO as a
Yeah.
community. There's thousands of women on there, so there's plenty of us in the industry. But yeah, unfortunately, I think a lot of us do come across as that. But I think a lot of it as well is just, you know, I do talks like this all day long. You know, I do presentations with clients and my own sort of stuff. But I feel like if I'm going to speak at an event, that's when my imposter syndrome really kicks in. And it was like, well, I've got nothing to say that's not already been said. But I know that's not true because
Yeah.
I know I've got plenty to say. And sometimes
We have a
it's
unique
also hearing the,
perspective. Yeah.
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, sometimes it's the different perspectives, but it's just, you know, say if I want to talk about audits and I'm like, oh, well, someone did an audit last year. And it's like, yeah, but it's not going to be my audit. It's not going to talk about it in the way that I do and actually help people to prioritize them or come across whatever issues they may be facing. And it's just getting that to sink into my head because it just doesn't want to. And saying that to you now, I know it makes sense and I know that that's true, but
Yeah.
the minute I come to submit pitch button, then it just kicks in. But yeah, like I say, I'm starting to get a few more out there.
Uh-huh. So I pitched to Brighton, I think 2 times last time and this time, and I was pitching for SEO audits, different kind of angles of SEO
Mm-hmm.
audits, and then they didn't accept me. So this kind of made my imposter syndrome probably worse. But on the other hand, I'm thinking that maybe that's simply not the time yet. I'm still very busy doing my kind of podcasts, YouTube, newsletters, so I am busy enough. But that was also something that I can say made it a bit worse, at least temporarily.
They don't know what they're missing. Like honestly, to have you on the stage
Oh,
would be amazing. I'd definitely love to see that. So don't give up. But
oh,
I know I'm not taking my own advice either when I say that. So
yeah,
I definitely need to. But I mean, that's the other thing as well. It's like obviously an SEO doesn't pay you at the minute, whereas I know like women in tech and some of the others do, and there's a lot of time that goes into these things. But
oh,
I do definitely want to speak at some point. But yeah, women in tech SEO they do pay you to speak at their
oh,
conferences, and
oh,
Arij takes check it out. Like Arij takes very good care of all of her speakers as well. I think they're still accepting for next year's one, but if not, there's a couple of others that are coming up. So yeah, definitely check it out.
yeah,
It's an amazing event as well. You know, it's
I
full of
am,
women that feel the same as us,
yeah,
and yeah,
exactly.
big
I'm trying to at least attend this next year, if not speak,
yeah,
because yeah, I
definitely
heard this is so wonderful to be there.
yeah, 100%.
Okay, so now maybe this question. Uh, what do you think currently is the area of SEO we should be focusing on more than we do? What are your thoughts on that?
It's weirdly
Underrated.
it's weirdly not a tech answer. It's more content, and I
Oh,
think a lot of people are getting lazy with it, and that's because of Chat GPT and all of the other tools, and even some of my freelance clients recently. So I'd create a brief for them, and then they come back with an article the next day that is very clearly generated in AI, and they think that that's fine. Um,
but is
and
your wife using ChatGPT at least as an assistant?
yeah, but that's the difference. Using it as an
Yeah,
assistant instead of writing the whole
yeah,
article, and that's the point. I mean, I use Chat GPT, and I think it's fine. It's a great
yeah,
tool. I'm certainly not against it. I'm quite the opposite, but it's just using it as a tool as opposed to do the work for you, because you know you need unique content. You need content that's helpful, hence the helpful
totally,
content update. And I think people are just getting lazy, and they think that it's not going to make a difference to use those sorts of tools to create articles, you know, in 10 minutes and get them all up online straight away, because we need content. And it's like, well, yeah, you do, but what's going to make your content different from my
Every-
content? You know, I could create I don't know, if I've got a health client, I could create a health website tomorrow and throw up a bunch of articles, but that doesn't mean my content's correct, because, you know, things like that need to be fact checked. But
yeah.
it's certainly not going to be if I'm just using tools like that. So it's getting the expert advice and the quality information that's going to be the biggest challenge.
Yeah, and so what's your take on like the entire revolution that's happening with AI, generative search experience in Google? Like, how do you see that? How do you see our future? Is there a future for SEOs?
Yeah, it's not going away, and like even John Mueller has said himself that SEO is always going to be needed. It's just going to change, and that's what SEO does. And as SEOs, we're always adapting to the new things. So it's just the latest challenge. I mean, we've all panicked before when there's been other algorithm updates. So even when they said that they were switching to mobile first, everyone
Yeah,
panicked then. Obviously, this is like a bigger change that's coming, but I'm just more interested to see what it happens. Obviously, I'm listening to everyone's perspectives, but it's all educated guesses at the minute because Google is changing even how they're doing it on search labs at the minute and trying out different things. So more interested to see what it looks like when it finally rolls out everywhere and goes live, and how the general public engages in it. 'Cause I think like it must be the only people using generative AI at the minute must be SEOs. I don't think there's
yeah, I
any
think
actual
so.
customers using it. So how we use it is going to be different from how they use it. So everything could change then. So
Yeah,
it'd be
totally.
interesting to see. I think it's going to affect some industries more than others. I think e-commerce is hopefully going to benefit from it, but I think affiliates are definitely going to struggle, in the more
Yeah,
informational based sites are gonna struggle, unfortunately. But that'll be our challenge as SEOs, to work with those sites to see how we can overcome that and help them be more visible in generative results.
yeah, totally. So now tell me, how does your normal SEO day look like?
Start with lots of coffee. That's always the first
Uh-huh.
one. Take the dog outside, sort him, have lots of coffee. Um, I usually start with clicking through like my client websites and just seeing if anything changes, because I do have them set up on various monitoring tools. So that does tell me if things change, but also some things slip through the cracks, or as much as most of my clients do keep me up to date, there's ones that do just release things without letting us know, or
Uh-huh.
also the devs just tend to sneak things through sometimes as well without telling the client. So I have a click around, see what's changed. If anything, most of the time not, thankfully. I've probably jinxed it now. I'll go on Monday and things will have changed completely on all of my websites. Um, have a look in analytics and do all that, and then especially at Jenny Further, there's probably usually a couple of like morning meetings, and so we'll go through those, attend those, present whatever needs to be presented, and yeah, just then crack on with various bits of client work, finish work, and then do more SEO for my freelance stuff. And then that usually goes fairly late on into the night until my wife finally gets me to stop, because I'll just sit in front of the telly doing stuff as well. And then she's like, Nikki, pack it in. We need to go to bed, or Nikki, we need to go out and do this sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
the same
um,
thing with me. Yeah, my husband
yeah,
is like at 8 is telling me like maybe you can finish and go
mm-hmm,
watch something with me.
yeah. Is he the same? Is he
Oh,
trying to take the laptop out of your hands and you're like, just one more minute
yes,
and just let me
he's
finish this one
trying.
thing?
Yeah, but he's an SEO too, so he
Oh.
understands it, but he's not that obsessed, I think. Not that level.
Oh, it's just us that are
Yeah.
that obsessed. It's good that he works in the industry as well, though.
Yeah, it's nice to have a support when I have like some questions, I don't know something. He's more experienced than me, so it's always like easier for me a bit. At least I can better control my imposter syndrome this way.
Nice. Yeah.
And do you work over weekends?
I try not to, but yes. Um,
Same thing.
yeah. Especially again, obviously it's freelance that I'm doing at weekends. Which is why my wife likes us to do things on weekends and go out with the dog and go out with family, and then it gets me away from the screen, which obviously is a good thing, and I want that too. But then I'm like, let me just do this one thing for the client before the end of the month, or let me just do this. But
Yeah.
that's the thing as well. I do actually enjoy it. I do enjoy SEO, so I don't mind sitting there doing things and making a difference for the websites and just digging into what's happened now and what we can do about it. So if I didn't like SEO, that would be a
That would be
completely different
difficult.
issue.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I can totally relate to that. And how do you learn new things? What are your like favorites? Do you have some favorite courses you have taken, books, like the resources for you to learn more, to stay updated?
Yeah, it's mainly like websites, so like Search Engine Journal and Search Engine Roundtable and all those sort of things, but podcasts. So there's various ones
Uh-huh.
that I listen to on Spotify. There again, including Women in Tech. This is turning into an advert
Yeah.
for Women in Tech. But their podcast is great, and there's various other ones that I do listen to. But yeah, the reason why I like podcasts is because it's you get the two perspectives and get to bounce off each other rather than just stating a single perspective or a single finding within an
Yeah.
article. It's nice to be able to do that, and then I'm able to generate more ideas on the back of that as well.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah.
And you can like do something else while listening, or you can listen at a faster pace, which I like doing. Then you can consume more.
Yeah,
And what are
definitely.
your favorite SEO podcasts? Can you share?
Yeah, there's Surfs Up, I think is the Wix one.
Mm-hmm.
God, what else is there?
Yeah,
I can't
Surf's
remember
Up
now.
is cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get Spotify to load in the
Yeah,
background.
sure,
It
sure.
won't work now, but
You just have them on your list and you just listen.
yeah, literally. But there's
Yeah.
I mean, my Spotify is a mix of like murder and true crime podcasts and SEO podcasts.
Uh-huh.
It's a
Okay.
very weird mix. If someone ever has a look, they wonder what is going on with my life. But which is a valid question, to be fair. But there's yeah, I mean, like Search Engine Journal show, go back to that one and a couple of others.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a tech SEO podcast I used to listen to. Was that one?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I think it was by like Salt or somebody like that. I don't think that's going anymore, but I used to listen to that. I
I
think it was
I,
literally called.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. I think I was listening to that one as well, and yeah, it's I think it stopped some time ago.
Yeah, which is a shame. I do listen to a little podcast called SEO Sly as well, of course.
Nice, nice, cool. Okay, and have you ever taken like any SEO courses that you like really enjoyed and you can recommend?
Yeah, I've done a few like SEMrush ones. Those are always
Mm-hmm.
handy. I think most of the ones I've done are SEMrush podcasts, courses.
Yeah,
Really,
courses. Yeah.
can't think of any others off the top of my head. It's
Uh-huh.
been a
Yeah.
while since I've done any like Google certifications. Could be
Uh-huh.
handy as well. That's good for like especially Google Analytics, and obviously they've recently got like a
Yeah.
GA4 one,
GA4,
which is
yeah.
really handy. So I've had a look at that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's
Okay.
been a while since I've done one. I think the last time I did like a proper course was during lockdown, really,
Uh-huh.
which is a few years ago.
Yeah.
Granted, but yeah,
And since then you have been busy just working.
working and listening to a lot of the podcasts that we just
Uh-huh.
mentioned, yeah, and doing it that way.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
I don't.
And can you share some final tips for people who are just starting out in SEO? Is it a good time to start and how to get started successfully?
I think it's always a good time to start, as long as you know that things are going to change, and you like change because that is the
Yeah.
nature of SEO. But it depends on how you learn best, and I know everyone learns in different ways. But for me, honestly, having my own website was the best thing, and it doesn't have to be myname.com website. If you like dogs or you like art, just create a little website about that and figure out how to get it to rank. And the thing that you learn from the most is breaking things.
Yeah,
And
totally.
if you break your own website, it's annoying, but that doesn't matter. But if you break a client's website, then that's going to cost them a few pounds, and then you're going to be in trouble. So that's how I found out what a canonical is and what a no index tag meant and why it matters, and what not to do with them. So it's like a cheesy answer, but yeah, create your own website, try it, and then I do think that the best way to learn is agency side, because you get to learn a lot of things really quickly, and the ability to bounce ideas off of other people it's invaluable, and actually it can put you ahead of a lot of others in the industry by having that collaborative nature and able to work on lots of different things. at once makes a massive difference. And then, you know, you can maybe look to go in-house after that if that's what you like to do, or then start doing it freelance. But I do think you learn a lot more agency side than in-house personally.
Yeah, totally. I've been both, and yeah, I can only actually like recommend agencies for most. Of course, some people will enjoy in-house, but agencies for that learning path, I think, are the best. Who in the SEO industry do you think we should be following and we may not be following? Is there such a person you would like to give a shout out to?
There's two. So the first one is Arij Abouali from Women in Tech SEO. I just think she's amazing, and she does a lot for a lot of people, not just women, but a lot of minorities as well. And I don't think she gets half as much credit as she does, because she's just constantly on the go and trying to make a difference and build her community, which is amazing. And Alida Solis, I think, you know, a lot of people in the industry know her, and she's always sharing really useful insights and also tools on how to do things. And she's got lots of spreadsheets that are really useful, and also just her newsletter is amazing. She's got lots of information in there, and it's a very large newsletter, and it's impressive.
Yeah, you have just, I think, named my two favorite SEOs, so I'm
nice.
giving a shout out to them as well.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm glad
Nikki.
you agree.
Yeah, totally. Nikki, so can you tell me now, where can people find you? What's the best place to connect with you?
Anywhere and everywhere. Twitter is Nikki R. Halliwell. LinkedIn, Nikki Halliwell. My website, nikkihalliwell.com. My tech audit website is techseoaudits.com. What else did I say? TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. I think they're all my name as well. And also check out Journey Further. There's lots going on over there. Just journeyfurther.com. Lots of exciting things happening. I'm on Mastodon as well. I don't know if anybody's still using that. There's a few people still around. I feel like there was a lot of people that jumped over there at one point, but now it's slowly died down a little bit. But there's still a little community going. But yeah, I'm on there. So literally anywhere and everywhere, you'll find me in some capacity, whether you want me or not. I'll pop up somewhere.
Okay, cool. So Nikki, thank you so much for being my guest. I learned a ton from you. I think the audience learned a ton too. And again, thanks so much.
No, thank you for having me. I was really excited when you reached out, because I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. So I'm glad we finally got to properly connect.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so thanks everyone, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.